Okay, hello everybody and welcome to another checkpoint tutorial. My name is John Lukey, and in this tutorial we are going to talk about NAT, Network Address Translation. This is our topology. We have the inside network, we've got our DMZ, and we have our outside network. Now in the DMZ I have a small web server that is going to act as a web server, obviously. That's the IP address of it, and that's this default gateway. Take a snapshot of the topology. You can refer to back as we go along, or you can come back to the beginning of the video. This is our external IP addresses. Assume that these IP addresses are public IP addresses because we are running a virtual environment, and we're going to create a hide NAT, which is port translation NAT. So basically that's one to many, and also we're going to create a static NAT one-to-one for our DMZ. We're going to use the hide NAT for our inside network. So we're going to hide our inside network behind the IP address of the gateway, the external IP address of the gateway, which is the 192.168.1.50. Then we're going to create a static NAT for our web server. In fact, we are not going to use that IP address, the external IP address. We'll add another IP address to this interface. Maybe we'll add the 192.168.1.100. That will act as our web server's IP address. So let's assume that our web server had the domain name of www.webserver.com, and we had the IP address for it for the 192.168.100. Now people on the outside would go to their Internet Explorer or whatever explorer they have. They would have typed into their web browser www.webserver.com. This router here acts as a DNS server, so the DNS server would have translated that www.webserver.com to an IP address, which will be the 192.168.100. The client will access this IP address, and this IP address will be translated to the 10.2.2.10. Okay, and the response will go back to the client. Now let me show you what my web server looks like when you connect to it. I'm going to connect to it directly. I'm going to connect to the HTTP 10.2.2.10 address. Alright, let me see, the server might be shut down. I can't remember if I turned it on. I'll be back in a minute. Yes, as I thought so. The web server was shut down, I'm afraid. It's back on now, so let's try and access it again. Okay. Let's try a different browser. Yep. Okay, this is what we're going to get when we access our web server from the outside. You're going to get a little box with some writing inside it. Okay. Now I have connected to it directly, so just to show you what the index page looks like. This is what we're going to get. That's fine. When we connect from here to the 192.168.100, we're going to get that index page on our browser. Now before we do anything, we need to go to the gateway and add the extra IP address, the 192.168.1.100 on the same interface, and we do that by accessing the gateway HTTPS 10.2.2. No, sorry, that's 1.1.2. Okay, these are our interfaces. Okay, as you can see, Ethernet 0 is the inside link, Ethernet 1 is the DMZ link, and Ethernet 2 is the outside link. That's the IP addresses. Now we need to add another IP address to that, so we go to add alias, we choose the interface, which is Ethernet 2, and we put the IP address of 192.168.1.100 and /24. Okay, so we have an extra IP address on that same interface. That's all we need to do here. We need to get out of here. Now what we need to do, we need to access the web server using the dashboard and have a look at what I've done so far. I haven't done much. Here it is. I have linked the management server with a gateway, and I've also created my Windows 8 IP address, which is, as I said, is the machine that I am running all this virtual environment on. I've created the 4 rules. There's something missing. Our local area network is missing from there, so I didn't put that there. So we need to go and create our network, which is the inside network. Inside local area network. It's 10.1.1.0 and it's /24. Okay, now we need to do a hide NAT for this network. So everybody on the inside will hide behind the gateway external IP address. So we need to go to NAT and create a hide NAT. Yes, behind the gateway. That's all we need to do. This is port translation NAT. Okay, everybody on the inside will be translated to the outside IP address, which is the 192.168.1.50. This is hide NAT, one to many. Click OK there. Now we need to go and create our web server. We need to go and create this object to represent the web server. So we're going to go to nodes, add a host, name that web excuse me, web server. The IP address is 10.2.2.10, and we need to do NAT. We need to do a static NAT. We'll change that to static, and we need to hide that behind the 192.168.1.100 IP address. Okay, that's done. We need to save our policy, and the last thing we need to do, we need to allow the traffic to our web server. So I am going to, first of all, I need to add the inside local area network on this rule here, which allows the inside traffic to go anywhere on the outside. Well, it goes anywhere, which means we can access the internet. I'm going to save this now. I'm going to push the policy, and let's see if we can have an access to the internet from our Windows XP machine. So as soon as the policy is been successful, we're going to go to this machine here and we're going to access the internet. Make sure that works okay. And after that, we let the rule for the web server, and we'll try and access the web server from the outside. Okay, rule has been successfully installed. So let me go to the Windows XP, and let's see if we can access the internet. Yeah, there you go. We can access the internet. Yep, there you go. Now, with regards to these boxes and getting errors on the pages, is because Windows XP is a very old machine. The web browser is a very old web browser. It has never been updated and so forth. So just ignore that. As you can see, though, we do have access to the internet. Okay. Now, if we go to our Windows 7 and we'll try to access our web server, you will see that we can't access it because the rule is missing. Okay, you can see we can't access our web server because we have to add the rule to allow the traffic. So we need to go back now to a dashboard. Remember what we did with the NAT translation. We translated the inside to hide behind the gateway, and we translated our web server to hide behind this specific IP address, which we created a translation method is static, and that's 1-to-1. Okay. Now we need to add a rule. The rule to our web server is a specific rule. So basically we're telling, if you want to go to the web server, you have to go to this IP address. And I always add the most specific rules at the top. For instance, if you look at this rule, it doesn't specify anything. It just says that everybody on the inside or anybody on the inside can go anywhere on the outside or anywhere. Okay, it's not specific. So I'm going to add the rule above my management rule. I'm going to call this web server. Okay, you can call it anything you like as long as you can understand the name of it. So what we're going to do, we're going to allow anybody, okay, because we don't know who is coming from the outside. Anybody who wants to go to the web server, okay, it will be accepted, and it only has to use HTTP. Okay, and I'm going to lock it so I can get locks in case we can't access it. I'm going to save the policy. I'm going to push the policy. I'm going to pause the video. When the policy is done, we will access it through the outside. Okay, the policy has been installed. Once we do this and we access the web server from the outside, we're going to have a look at the log so you can see the translation there. Okay, so let me go to the Windows 7 and let's refresh that now. There you go. Straight away we got access to our web server. Okay, I'm going to log that down. I'm going to use Firefox as well to log into it. Make sure everything works. Okay, HTTP 192.168.1.100. There you go. Again, we got that. We have access to our web server. Lovely. Okay, now let me go. I'm going to refresh this a few times. Let me go to the logs and have a look at the translation. Bear in mind, my Windows 7 has the IP address of 192.168.1.33, I believe. Okay, we've done that. Let's go to Smart View Tracker. Okay, all logs. We're going to go to the bottom to see the latest logs. There you go, look at that. I've refreshed it so many times. HTTP protocol, TCP protocol, HTTP port 80. As you can see, everything was good. I am going to double click on the last one so you can see the translation. So my Windows 7, that was the source, the destination 192.168.100. It was using port 80, which is HTTP. Protocol is TCP, as we said. Okay, so we connected to that IP address, and that IP address was translated to 10.2.2.10. Okay, XLate destination translation. Right, and the rule that allows this access is is rule number 1. Okay, it's called web server. If you remember, that's what we named it, and it's at the top of our rules. Okay, I think that's all. It's so simple and so forward. So I hope you enjoyed it, and until the next one, thanks for watching. Bye for now.